public building can sometimes mean renovating your life and your lifestyle. Our next stylish home was once a firehouse. In Ogden, Utah, there's no doubt what this building used to be. The giveaway is the color, fire engine red.
The building was Ogden City Fire Station number 2 from 1925 until 1968.
Now it's Larry Carr's cozy 800 square foot home. But it's the 850 square foot garage where Larry does most of his living.
When I was moving in, I thought it would be great to back in just like the real fire engines did that very first day. And I've been doing it ever since. It's more than a garage. This is where the fire engines used to live. And it's kind of become a focal point in my life.
Focal point indeed. Larry uses it for photography, carpentry, and tons of storage. In short, it's the ultimate hobby room.
The guys that I know that come in, they look at this and their mouths just drop open and you can almost see them salivate.
Enter through the front and you hit the living room, where Larry installed the metal ceiling, a new slate floor, and the recessed lighting that highlights a photo of the old firehouse circa 1950.
When this was a firehouse, this would have been used as the day room, where the firemen would have spent time during the day eating meals and reading books and whatever it is that firemen do when they're not fighting fires.
Like cooking meals in the tiny kitchen, or pulling an overnight shift in one of 2 bedrooms. In the basement, Larry turned the old furnace room into a dark room.
With no windows, this makes a beautiful dark room. When the lights are out, it gets very, very dark.
Hey, speaking of being in the dark, Larry still doesn't really know why he wanted the house.
I never had any desire as a child to be a fireman, and I never wanted to ride on the back of a fire engine, and I never had a real desire to live in a firehouse, but the building appealed to me.
Even the smell was somehow right.
The garage smelled that old oil smell, and I just loved walking into there. That's one of the things that enchanted me when I first looked at it.
So in 2002, Larry bought the place for $96,000. Then he spent a little more and invested a lot of sweat equity into making it his home. His vision?
Historically, it was a firehouse, and it should be kept as much that way as possible.
Outside, that meant keeping the fire station's concrete plaque intact and installing a flagpole.
I thought a fire station wouldn't be a complete fire station unless it had a flagpole, and now the fire station is complete.
The fire extinguisher was a housewarming present left anonymously on the front porch. The garage door, however, is original, but Larry thought the beige was a little bit blah.
I wanted something that looked more like a firehouse, so I scraped and sanded and puttied, and it took me a couple of weeks to paint it. And when I was done, I stood back and looked at it, and I thought, it's garish. But I've had more compliments about that than anything I've done.
As for the garage interior, replastering the 12-foot-tall cracked walls took 2.5 months.
I borrowed an 8-foot ladder from a friend that had round rungs, and I would spend 8 hours every day on this ladder, and my feet felt like they were going to fall off.
But the saving grace of the garage repair was finding this old firehouse nozzle.
I love the reminders that this was a firehouse. There are times when I have sat and tried to imagine what it was like to live here and to be a fireman stationed here.
But why imagine when you can get it straight from the source?
Hi, Alan Peak.
Alan Peak.
Larry Carr, I'm glad to meet you. Glad you could make it up today.
Oh, you bet.
Firefighter Alan Peak was stationed here in the 60s and hasn't been inside since.
Well, this is it. Does it bring back any memories?
It brings back a lot of memories. It really looks neat.
Now, where was the pole?
No pole here.
I only ask that because everybody asks me that, and there was no place for a pole to be.
Yeah, this was one of the smallest stations in the city. I think it's neat that somebody has the foresight to take a building like this and turn it into a home. Look at all the memories just looking at it. I mean, it's a fire station. It's what it is.
Except that where tired firemen used to snatch cat naps, now Larry's granddaughters have slumber parties.
Good night, Ellen. Good night, Edwin.
Good night, Papa.
And the old engine room that serves as a garage and a photography studio There's also a great rehearsal space for Larry's fellow trombone players in the Ogden concert band.
The acoustics are wonderful.
It all adds up to the oddly perfect place for a guy who never wanted to be a firefighter when he grew up.
Not only is it practical, but I feel a great deal of affection for it.
Coming up, a cold, hardcore jail becomes a warm and cozy home. And a church changes into a lovely living space. Next on Rezone.